It started on a night that was meant to be ordinary, a simple date night. We'd had a few drinks, and I said something I can't take back, words that now hang between us like a knife. That remark, offhand and careless, has left our marriage teetering on the edge. Eric and I met when we were teenagers, working together at a call center. Back then, nothing romantic ever happened. He went off to college, and I stayed behind until I finished high school. 5 years later, our paths crossed again, and we began dating. Eventually, we married, and now we share a life with 2 children. I thought we had a steady, dependable love, something solid and enduring. Last fall, 6 months after giving birth to our second child, I started a new birth control pill that brought unexpected side effects. Among them was a complete loss of sexual desire. Eric would try to initiate intimacy, and I consistently declined. After a couple weeks, he stopped making advances altogether. Then one night, my frustration bubbled over. "Why haven't you tried lately?" I demanded, snapping under the weight of months of distance. That evening, our first proper date night since the baby was born, we stopped at a local bar for a drink. Feeling the buzz of alcohol, I made a confession I instantly regretted. I told Eric I felt guilty, almost like I had cheated. Alarmed, he asked why. I spoke about a dream I'd had involving a former co-worker, a man I briefly dated after Eric had left for college. I rambled on, scrolling through his social media, noting details obsessively, even criticizing the appearance of a woman in one of his photos. I went further, reminiscing about moments I'd shared with this man, how he used to tease me, tickle me, and one moment of reckless passion that had left an impression on me. Foolishly, I implied that my memory of him somehow shaped my desires, that I might want Eric to act the same way. The next morning, Eric's anger was palpable. He wasn't just upset about the night before. He had been hurt for weeks, feeling the distance I created. I had shut him out. Yet that night, I had displayed fascination with another man right in front of him. When I tried to offer intimacy then and there, he snapped. "Your body's been off limits for a month, and now one conversation with him finally turns you on." His pain was real, and in retrospect, I understood it. Our arguments became a recurring cycle. Eric clung to the idea that I stayed with him only because the other man was no longer an option, that my youth confidence and past attraction were lost on him. He became distant, withdrawn, not just from me, but from our children. The intimacy we once shared disappeared. Every mention of that man, even in passing, reignited the tension. I tried to reassure Eric. I stopped bringing him up, unfriended him on social media, and focused on rebuilding our connection. I worked on my health, exercised with Eric, and did everything I could to show my commitment. But even with these efforts, our sex life remained inconsistent, dictated largely by whether to quiet the thoughts that haunted him. During arguments, he reminded me painfully of my changes, my weight gain, my loss of confidence, the contrast between who I had been and who I had become. He questioned whether the other man would even glance at me now. It hurt because I already carried the weight of self-consciousness after 2 pregnancies, and his words felt like salt on an open wound. Eric's silence became heavy and deliberate, a quiet judgment that lingered far longer than any argument. One evening, after another confrontation, he simply left without a word, leaving me frozen in our home. When he returned hours later, his presence carried no warmth, only exhaustion and a quiet emptiness I could not breach. He told me he was tired, not just physically, but in a way that sleep could never repair. I tried to argue, tried to push back, but he remained unmoved. He had decided what he wanted: clarity, honesty, and distance from the chaos that had been creeping into our marriage. And in that, I realized just how much damage a careless word could do, how a single misstep can shatter trust that took years to build. We've been together for 7 years with 2 children, and despite my love for him, the divide between us has only grown. Eric is no longer the man I can easily reach. His heart has withdrawn. I can't undo the past, and he can't escape the shadow it cast. Yet, even in this darkness, I want to rebuild. I want us to find our way back to the love that existed before my words, before my carelessness, before everything became tangled with doubt and regret. I know it will take time. I know I must prove my commitment every day, in actions more than words. And perhaps slowly, the walls Eric has built will begin to crumble. Not because of grand gestures, but because of consistent, unwavering care, a quiet patience, and the willingness to show that my heart belongs entirely to him, here and now. The journey isn't over. We are not lost forever. But the path forward requires both of us to confront the past, face our insecurities, and remember why we chose each other in the first place. And maybe, just maybe with time, the love that has been battered can become whole again.